What if you could walk inside a database and watch every process do its job? Someone built a whole city inside your browser to show exactly how PostgreSQL works. What if you could walk inside a database and watch every single process do its job? That is exactly what PGSimCity does. It takes the inner workings of PostgreSQL and turns them into an explorable three-dimensional city you can fly through right in your browser. No installation, no downloads needed. Just open the link and start exploring every district of the database. Let us take a look at what it shows us and why the internet is talking about it. Someone built a whole city inside your browser to show exactly how PostgreSQL works. PGSimCity is an independent, non-commercial educational visualization of PostgreSQL internals created by Nikolay Samokvalov, who is the founder of Postgres AI and co-host of the PostgreSQL podcast. He describes it as a working model of the PostgreSQL engine, and he is upfront that it is an early, unreviewed prototype that almost certainly contains inaccuracies in both the model and the explanations. The project is not affiliated with, sponsored by, or endorsed by Electronic Arts, even though SimCity is their trademark. It uses the SimCity metaphor as a teaching tool, not a product. The core idea is brilliant in its simplicity. PostgreSQL is modeled as a city where each major subsystem gets its own district or building. The buffer pool, which caches data pages in memory, becomes a central district. The write-ahead log pipeline is represented as a data flow system. The lock manager acts like a traffic control system for concurrent connections. Each component is a physical building you can zoom into, and the connections between them are shown as active pipelines and roads. The whole thing is built with JavaScript and WebGL2, so it runs entirely in the browser with a 3D camera you control with arrow keys and mouse. When you load PGSimCity, you get a boot screen with the PostgreSQL elephant logo and a loading bar. Then the city appears. The interface has a HUD with a top header, left and right side panels, and a bottom bar with controls. There is a compass for navigation, a tour layer for guided exploration, and a help overlay. The city is laid out as a hexagonal blueprint with the elephant mark at the center. You can zoom into individual buildings to see the internal workings of components like the checkpointer, background writer, auto vacuum, WAL writer, backends, and WAL senders. Each component is animated to show how data flows through the system in real time. This is not some random side project from a hobbyist. Nikolay Samokvalov built PGSimCity, and he is someone who explains PostgreSQL internals for a living. He founded Postgres AI and co-hosts the PostgreSQL podcast, so he has deep domain knowledge about what he is visualizing. One commenter on the Reddit post noted that it tracks perfectly with his background. That is why the scenarios in PGSimCity are so practical. For example, one idle session timeout scenario showed the actual consequence of leaving connections open, making it stick in your memory far better than reading about it in documentation. Here is where it gets wild. One commenter, Exters, shared the exact prompt used to generate PGSimCity with Claude Opus 5. The prompt started with "You are a veteran Postgres hacker and expert," then asked for a 3D visualization of how PostgreSQL works for the browser. It described all the major components that needed to be modeled as buildings, the SimCity city metaphor, and the need for zoomable animated controls. The prompt was essentially imagine we need to build a 3D model of a whole city at the same level as the real SimCity game. The result is a browser-based 3D model with camera controls, zoom, and animation, all running client-side. The community reaction on Reddit was exactly what you would expect from something like this. One commenter, Penguin Digital, called it one of the best things they had ever seen and completely pointless at the same time, which is the perfect summary. Another user, Dragon Yum, wrote, "I will never have a side project this cool." Someone else said it is literally what those hacker movies would show, but this is real. And then there was the classic post saver who just typed "Claude please" with 3 dots, as if the project itself was the punchline. A commenter named TakenLab also suggested a lock contention scenario would be the perfect next addition, to show blocked backends building up visually. On the technical side, PGSimCity uses WebGL2 for 3D rendering and runs entirely in the browser. It includes both day and night themes with a smooth toggle. The visual design uses the PostgreSQL elephant mark as a central motif, with a blue-to-purple gradient color scheme. There is a plausible analytics integration for tracking usage. The boot screen shows the elephant logo inside a hexagonal blueprint, and the loading sequence builds anticipation before revealing the full city. The project is open source on GitHub at nicolay/PGSimCity, and Nicolay invites issues and pull requests since it is still an early prototype. PGSimCity is a masterclass in technical education. It takes one of the most complex open-source database systems and makes it tangible, explorable, and genuinely fun to learn from. The city metaphor is not just a gimmick. It is a powerful way to understand how dozens of background processes interact in a system you normally only see through command line tools and configuration files. It proves that the best way to teach complex engineering concepts might be to build a city for them. If you want to see it, the link is in the description. If you enjoyed this deep dive into PGSimCity, hit subscribe for more breakdowns of cool technical projects. And let me know in the comments, what database system should we turn into a city next?